Namarca Corowa there, not a bossa nova, home of chili hot country and legends. We're sitting around about 28 minutes past 4, rolling on to the 4:30 mark, and we've got the gentleman in the studio right now. Namarca Corowa, he is the founder of a deadly organisation here, getting a lot of attention around our nation. In fact, it's called Reconcile Life. How you doing, Namarca?
I'm doing good, Lyndon. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, Bruss. Good, yeah. It's a nice afternoon, eh, with all this rain around?
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it.
Okay, so we're here to talk a little bit about your deadly organisation called Reconcile Life. When did you start the company up?
So the company started in about April 2019, although I had been doing, we've been doing the work probably for a year or two before that anyway, but the company itself started around about 2019.
Okay, so why did you feel a need for, what is Reconcile Life all about, and how come you felt a need to start this company up in the Mackay community?
Yeah, sure thing. So my background is in youth justice and working with families within the community as far as, family and domestic violence, foster care, and also just even some mental health issues that people were having within the community and family well-being over the years. So we found that, especially through, the work that we're doing through family well-being, that there were a lot of men in our community who weren't getting the support that they felt was appropriate for them, especially culturally appropriate programs in terms of support for men and family and domestic violence. All I was doing at the time was connecting a lot of the men to the elders and even the traditional owners through our camps on country, and we found that was a really, really powerful thing for these men to find some healing, and even just to address the concerns that maybe they were having and the people in the community were having for them. So, having said that, because there was so much need out there, the company basically was started to help men overcome some of those challenges with their own personal lives and their family relationships.
Well, that's it. We can refer people to whatever organisation to be able to deal with whatever situation is at hand, whether it's alcohol abuse, drug abuse, or maybe people who are brought up in places or homes that, they did experience domestic violence. And what we've seen over the years as well, and this is why I love the company, is that you're reconnecting people to one of the oldest traditions on earth is actually, inquiring or engaging with their elders to seek that advice, because, they've got that lived experience and knowledge.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, myself, I grew up surrounded by grandfathers and uncles.
Yeah.
So for me as a man, I think that's an important thing when you're a young bloke, especially a boy. But and I think for me that I just thought that I maybe took it for granted that that I had that, but I thought most people had that, but they don't.
It's a privilege.
It's a privilege. So I was like, man, I had this privilege of having grandfathers and uncles and surrounded by good men in the community who were hard workers and looked after their families, and they weren't perfect, but at the same time I think that a lot of that stuff of taking responsibility for your actions and being accountable, I learned as a young boy, even to my teenage life and growing up. So for me, that was a family thing, and not only that, it's a culture thing. So to me, we're not talking about a new system. No. We're not talking about a new theory. We're talking about something that has kept our cultures literally intact for thousands of generations, so it's not a new thing. I'm just talking about the stuff that we've always had,
So what are some of the major concerns or people that are presenting to Reconcile Life? So what's some of the major concerns that they wish to address?
So mostly relationships, breakdowns, stemming from domestic and family violence, kids in care, maybe where the parents are separated, parents aren't able to. Some parents aren't able to see their kids, and because of the domestic and family violence. So we're working through some healthy family relationships from cultural perspectives, which is helping men have a different perspective on what, say, for example, respect is, what accountability is, what all these things that I think that we have in our society as being normal behaviour. A lot of men don't sort of see that or maybe grow up with that. So the men who come to us are really looking for a place where they feel safe, number one, to be able to talk about their concerns. And I think also they're able to get some practical tools to be able to take into their own personal lives and begin even to apply those things to see change in their life. For some men, they have had a lot of the hard upbringing, but at the same time, they've gotten through life themselves, and now they're adults. But they're still facing some of those isolation issues. So for some men, it's just about connection.
Yeah.
Which is why I really go back to the elders and our traditional owners, and even just other mentors or men in our community who are good role models. Getting connected to those men is sometimes the most important thing, because out of that place comes that sense of accountability as well for them, and just even checking in, mental health issues that some guys go through with depression or anxiety, and I think that's probably one of the biggest factors that contribute to the domestic violence and even the depression or anxiety, is that people live isolated lives. You can have 1,000 friends on Facebook, but you didn't talk to anybody all day. You know what I mean? And that to me is where we've lost that connection. The human interaction.
Which
is, it may be just once a week that you need that, or twice a week. I'm not saying you have to be in everyone's business all the time, every day. It's just about who am I connected to? That I see is an important, sacred relationship. To me, that I value, that is positively influencing my decisions.
That meaningful connections.
That's right. And it's not just, again, like I say, it's not just Indigenous people that have that. It's everybody within our community. That need that connectedness.
Well, even on that front of social media, there has been a disconnectedness within society in general. We're pushed into our corners or into our bubbles, and a lot of them are echo bubbles. And if you're influenced by the same narrative, because we're all paired up with people who think like us and speak like us, we're not really being exposed to what else is actually out there.
That's right. So for me, I think when we do these camps on country, like especially when we go in the bush where there's no reception, that's a good thing. So that is what's coming up shortly. Is we do have another camp coming up before the financial year, which has been something we've been waiting for a bit because of COVID, obviously, which has affected everybody. So now we're really looking forward to this camp coming up, because I think that's really a fundamental experience that a lot of these guys go through around that connectedness, around building trust, around seeing opportunities for growth, for themselves. So
well, even talking about trust, if you've grown up your whole life and not knowing how to trust or who to trust, that's a really big thing. 100%. So how do you break down those barriers?
From my own personal experience working with men and boys over many years as well, is that trust comes through being consistent. Number one. But also being trustworthy. And that's one of the things too. Like, I think for a lot of guys, they want that trust. And I always talk about things that are sacred. Again, referring back to our cultural perspective, is talking about things that are sacred. These days, there's not a lot of things that are sacred. To people, so it's about finding that place where, okay, what's sacred in my life? Because in that place where I find sacredness, I find value. I find purpose. But I find trust. You know what I mean? So for me, it's helping men see things from that perspective, and having those conversations maybe that they haven't had before, and making them think in a different way, just through some of the analogies that we use and our modules that we go through on a Thursday night, even at our men's group, or on a Friday whenever we're talking to men. It's practical. It's really down to earth. Like for me, that's the way I see it. I feel like that's how men see it as well. So it's a good thing.
Because if those seeds of knowledge as we're growing up aren't implanted to us, we're lost. We're just in the wilderness, blind. Pretty much. So what are some of the aspects that you talk about with these men?
So we our program, it was around about 2018 that we wrote it, or I was writing it, just in my own personal time, and it's not something that I wrote out of a book. It's from my own personal experience and life experience, growing up in cultures, being a part of culture, growing up in this community as well,
and what the need of
myself for this community.
Yeah.
My background is Australian South Sea Islander and Aboriginal heritage. I learnt more probably about Aboriginal culture than I did about anything else, really.
Yeah.
I didn't know much about South Sea Island culture, and I think that's just the way, society is. If you want to learn about your culture, especially to do with Australian South Sea Islanders, you have to go and find it. You can't sort of fall out of the sky. You've got to go and find it, who you are. You've got to have that desire to do it. So using those points of view to help bring across that message of family and respect, and even just that connectedness. It's a really powerful thing that I see, is because we work also with non-Indigenous men. So the non-Indigenous men are welcome in all of our programs because they're on country, you know what I mean?
And we're all spiritual people too.
We're all spiritual people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing for us too, is like those perspectives that maybe we haven't seen a lot of people using those words or terminologies when it comes to personal identity. And even with things like, for example, my grandfather gave me my name, which is a land name. And that's a cultural thing. So that to me is a part of males' initiations. Even though, boys will go through 5 or 6 ceremonies traditionally, and that is one of the points of accountability and even identity for men, for boys growing up, and that's not just Indigenous culture. That's right around the world. Every culture did that with their boys at one point. They did that with their young men. They gave them responsibilities. You know what I mean? So that we want a lot of boys to be responsible, but sometimes they've got nothing to be responsible for. But culturally speaking, there was always, you go hunting, you go fishing, you take care of your elders. All of that stuff, and that was given to boys and young boys. And that was part of their proving their worth, proving their contribution. As well, and their belonging. To community. So I think for me, because we live in a society where everybody, you just live for yourself. There's no responsibility, there's no accountability. So for us, that's been a really big light bulb moment for a lot of guys that come out and hear that stuff, and even hearing from the elders and the way that they learnt some of those important family characteristics to help make them strong. Anybody can apply this stuff, man. It's just about putting yourself in that position where you can get a new life experience that helps shape what you believe. It gives you a foundation, gives you a base for you to build the fundamentals, those building blocks of yourself as a human being, a person. That's right, absolutely. And we have also similar sort of programs for women as well, so and girls, especially through healing processes. Domestic and family violence has been one of those things that I think we all wish we didn't have it. But at the same time, through it, we're able to now see, okay, what are the things that are missing? Ask those questions. And we don't have all the answers. No. But maybe we can just ask the questions, and help people find that. And a lot of the times, the answers are within us. All we need is something to draw it out. Exactly. 100%, Okay, so you do have a couple of groups that you do run. You got your Thursday night men's group program, also woodworking. Could you just talk a little bit about days and times when those are happening? Yeah, sure. So Wednesdays we do work in primary schools. So that's where we're out and basically talking to that younger generation, spending time within the school environment. And we do have Thursdays, our men's programs, as you said. Thursdays are really about delivering those behavioural change modules from cultural perspectives. And we're basically open for 1 hour, 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. We deliver a men's healthy relationship program from cultural perspectives. We have our elders and mentors on site during that 1 hour. And it's basically a yarning circle where we can have an opportunity to speak, but also have an opportunity for men to be heard as well. So it's a great place. It's a safe place. It's accountable place as well. So which is really important. Accountability is key. 100%. So for us, it's been a really good place for growth for a lot of men. We've had men who've been on depression and stuck in the house, being able to to make some changes.
Yeah.
And it's not just domestic and family violence, as I said, but the mental health stuff is a huge factor.
Yeah.
You know, for a lot of men around that space around family safety. You know? So that's on the Thursday night, and then Fridays we have woodworking where we even have elders. My dad actually comes in and he has been doing some cast net making.
Oh,
for the
nice.
lads, so that's what you did back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, they did was learning survival skills.
Yeah.
Those types of things, you know, where you're working with your hands, but at the same time you're learning.
Yeah.
Those life skills and maybe just gaining knowledge from the elders. So Fridays 9 till midday.
Yeah.
We have our shed open on 5 Wellington Street.
Yeah.
Shed 2, 5 Wellington Street. 9 till midday is on a Friday. Not all men can make that, obviously because of work or maybe shift work.
Yeah.
But, you know, come down once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Once every 3 weeks if you have to. Like, it doesn't matter. The point is that you're getting connected.
Yeah.
At some point.
And you do have your Respect and Responsibility camp coming up as well, don't you?
That's right. So that one is specific, one that we run with, in conjunction with Marabista as well. So that's a 12-week behavioural change program. Basically, that one we start with interviews and assessment. We do a meet and greet. We do camp on country, and then we go through our modules to a graduation at the end of the 12 weeks. So that's already started. We're just taking names right now. So people can give me a call or even email us or check out Facebook. Jump on Facebook. All our details are on there as well. Instagram. So if anybody's out there is listening and want to maybe think, well, I don't know what it's about. You know, I think for a lot of blokes, you know, if you ever saw our YouTube channel, there's so many testimonials of men who were in the same position. They didn't think that they should go to something like this because they thought it was weird, or they didn't
there's
know.
a stereotype.
Or there's a stereotype. It's like, man, you don't even know what it is until you come out and you see what it's about. You realise it's just what most blokes need.
And I know a lot of the blokes who's actually gone onto these camps and made these testimonies, and you know, like they're actual genuine testimonies. You know, it's not reading off a script or anything like that.
No.
It's, you know, and the change that, you know, people feel like they're gathering from these camps, you know, it's influential within their lives, and they can influence other people within in their lives.
Absolutely. And this is the thing when I was talking about life experiences. If people don't, you know, the old saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always be where you always are. So if people are still going through the same issues that they've been going through 5 years ago, maybe it's because you keep doing the same things you've always been doing.
Yeah.
But if you do something different, like attend a camp like this or come along to a Thursday night, maybe there's an opportunity for a new life experience, or maybe some new insight into something that might just help you. It might not be your cup of tea, but that doesn't matter. The fact is that you're trying. You're trying to do something. You're trying to find another way.
Yeah, you know, like what I say to some of the people that I work with, you know, and it's a bold statement to say, but there's no such thing as a perfect man, but we can always be better.
Yeah, that's 100%.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
So, just contact details just before we get going, mate.
Yep. So you can contact us on our website, which is all the W's, reconcilelife.com.au. On there's all the links that you need to get in touch with us.
Yep.
Even checking out our social media stuff. Obviously, you can look up Facebook and Instagram or YouTube. As I said, just type in Reconcile Life in any one of those search bars up there. You can even send me a text if you need to. That's always a good option too. I won't always answer calls, but I'll always get back to text messages, or if you leave a message, I'll do my best to get back to everybody as best I can. So if you want to do that, you can do that as well. So all the details are on our website.
All right, Namarca, just got to thank you very much for coming into the My105fm studios and speaking to a topic that really needs to be spoken to, and we're raising that awareness here during Domestic Violence Awareness Month here on My105fm. So I've got to thank you very much for coming in and, you know, getting the word out there, mate, because the more influential change we can make within our community builds us to be a better community and better people.
Yeah, too deadly.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, mate.